Hello, today I'm going to show you how to fill out your PDF plot diagram assignment. This is Mrs. Devis. And here you go. If you go to Google Classroom, you'll find it. You can either find it in your stream or under classwork. It's a PDF, so you want to open it in DocHub so that it'll look right. And so you can fill in all the fields. So there's a couple steps to that. When you click on it, it should give you some options. I'm going to open it in DocHub. If you don't see DocHub there, you might have to go to Connect More Apps and add DocHub. But hopefully it'll default to that. Give it a second to open that up. Okay, and here it is. Now I'm going to save it right away in DocHub. And I was logged in already. It might ask you to log into your Google account, and that's fine, like before it gets to this point. But I was logged in as a student already. So I'm just going to go in here and fill in my plot diagram with my story information. For my example, I'm just going to do the story of Cinderella. But of course, you will do yours for one of your short stories. So you'll fill that in, put your name on there. There's a little thing here where you can zoom in if you want to see it closer. Okay, so then I'm going to think about the conflict. Like in Cinderella, what's the main conflict? I would say it's maybe character versus character, involve stepmother, and maybe character versus society, how she's, has to overcome poverty. Something like that. So for your story, you'll find the conflict. You don't have to do that one first. You can come back to it later if you want to. Then you'll get to the plot diagram, which starts with exposition. So that's why that's down here on the bottom. You start at the bottom, and then you have rising action to go up to the turning point or the climax. And then falling action is usually pretty short, and you have some sense of resolution. So, and you can fill this out in any order. So like if you start reading and you're like, oop, I can tell who my protagonist is, you fill it in here. Antagonist. Giving stepmothers a bad rap. Narrator depends on the story. I'm going to say it's like a third person point of view. You can just put POV for point of view. Setting, a medieval. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Hey, it's set to spell check, so, still kind of tired. Coffee hasn't kicked in. So medieval type kingdom. And then kind of an imagined universe. Let's see. I'm going to wait to fill those out. Characters, it's going to ask you to list some traits of the characters, and if you feel like those were shown to you in an indirect or a direct way. So remember, direct characterization is if the author came out and told you those things about the character. You don't have to fill in every single box. I would say fill it in for at least 2 characters in your story. Third one's optional. And for each character, fill in at least 2 of those. So you'll just put like the characters, a couple of traits of each character. So like, for example, I would do like Cinderella What are some clues I get to her traits? Well, my story says that she is kind and, oops, my axis. And then my story kind of implies that she is wishful or wistful. About the same thing, wishful and wistful. And I'll say in my story, it came out and told me directly that she was kind, but that it was indirect. You can abbreviate too. It was indirect through her speech and indirect through her thoughts that she was wistful. And I could use some little like micro quotes here too. I could put like, maybe the words say, you know, she longed for more out of life. So you can pull exact words out of the story for your clues. They can be little micro quotes, little phrases and single words. And then here I had IS, IT, just little things. You don't have to write a whole lot in there. So you do that for 2 characters at least, 2 traits for each, and tell what they are. The rest of that I'm probably going to come back and fill in after I go through my whole story. So for exposition, that's just establishing the storyline, what's going on at the very beginning of the story. They kind of set the scene, set the tone, what's happening, where is it, give you a little bit of setting. So I would just say, you know, at the beginning of the story, Cinderella has lost her parents. She's persecuted her by stepmother. All right, I'll keep it short because, yeah, like you don't have to write a lot there. Just where does the action start? Like, what are they setting up that we know? And then we have some rising action. And the numbers look like they're backwards, but it's because we're building up along this slanted line here. So what's my rising action? Let's see, you know, she's used for slave labor. Okay, we see that in the story. The invitation to the ball. Locked up, but escapes. Attends the ball. And, you know, if you're like, wow, I need to fit more in there that's rising action, what, you know, you might think, what's my turning point of the story? Well, turning point is usually where the problem kind of gets solved. You know, everything comes to a dramatic, like, turning point, and then there's a conclusion there. So I would say attends ball, falls in love. Oh, I forgot. In this step, I'm going to put fairy godmother. Shows up. Okay. Attends the ball, falls in love, that's some rising action, has to leave, prince looks for her. Alright, so that's some of the rising action. If you don't get it all, that's fine. Just, you know, some key points of what happens leading up to the turning point. To me, in the story of Cinderella, the turning point would be, you know, she, depending which version you're reading, she breaks free to meet Prince Slipper, fits, Prince realizes it's her saved. Well, that's supposed to wrap. Let's see if I can fix that little thing. You can always, I think you can always hit enter on these little things. Or I might have to go in and edit your document so they do wrap, because they were supposed to. Sorry about that there. I'll fix it. Okay, following action. That's what happens after the climax. It's usually just a couple of things to wrap up the loose ends of the story. So they get married quickly. You can judge them or not if you want to. It's their life, their choice, I guess. And depending on the version of the story you watch, step mom and sisters either pay for their evil deeds or are forgiven. Depends on your version of the story. And resolution, of course, in this story, happily ever after. Alright, so you would just try to figure out all those plot points for the story you choose to do your plot diagram over. Then I can come back here and do the rest of this, fill in what I think the theme was, what the clues were, all that kind of stuff. Alright, so when you're done, it should automatically save as you go. If you need to save, I think there's like a little button for that, but I think this saves as you go. I'm not seeing a separate save button, so hopefully that's true. Okay. Then, when you're ready to share or send to me, here's what I would do. Under Invite Collaborators, just put my email address and leave the check mark on Notify People. So here we go, ADEBES for Ann Debus at ESD266.com. And just, you can leave me as a contributor, that's fine. That means I can add comments if I want to. So, and then it'll notify me. It'll send either as an attachment or in DocHub. I think it defaults to sending as an attachment. We'll see. I'm going to hit the send button. Permission added. It's going to notify me somehow. Alright, I'm going to pause for a sec. Yep, yay, there it is in my teacher email. So that sharing thing made it send to me, and then I can click it as a teacher. And hopefully it's all filled out in here. It'll take a second for it to load for me. And voila, you'll be done with that. Then you can go back to Google Classroom and hit the turned in button if you want to show me that, yep, it's done. It should be in my email. All right, that's how to fill that out and submit it. Good luck. Thanks.